Hello everyone, Marc Daniel Patrick here, musical theater coach. Thank you so much for taking time to check out the channel. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and you can find me on Instagram at Marc Daniel Patrick or at my website at marcdanielpatrick.com. I feel like it's been a little while since we looked at Les Mis, and since this is one of the most requested videos on this channel, I thought we would take a look at Javert's number in Stars. Now I know I seem to say this a lot, but this really is one of my favorite musical theater numbers. I used to break this out in masterclass all the time. It really requires a true acting through song prowess to be successful in performing the number. From the 10th anniversary performance, we're going to take a look at Philip Quast performing the role. The Australian-born actor has won 3 Olivier Awards and is probably best known for this 10th anniversary performance. From Les Miserables, this is Stars.
There, out in the darkness, a fugitive running, fallen from God.
Now the first thing you notice for Philip here is everything's in his throat, and he's adding a nice vibrato in the end of every phrase to give it. For me, it really reads like that godlike voice. Whenever someone wants to impersonate God, they've got that strong timbre and sort of strain in their voice, just to mimic that booming, controlling voice. He's really keeping everything tight right here to not allow a lot of inflection in his voice, but then finishes his phrases with a nice vibrato, so it finishes quite well.
Fallen from grace, God be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face.
Now that's till we come face to face. Now that's one of the lines I really like to pay attention to because of the double meaning there. Till we come face to face has a double context there as he comes face to face with maybe Valjean when he finally catches him, and then when he comes face to face, as in when he eventually dies and comes face to face with God, he wants to be able to stand up and say, I did your work. You know, I was one of your loyal servants, and look what I was able to do with my time on Earth. There's a lot that goes into the character of Javert. We know he was born in a cell, you know, so already born maybe into the justice system and on the wrong side of the justice system. Perhaps that's kind of led him now on this path of righteousness, where he's going to ensure that he never goes back to the place that he started, and that's maybe what's got him hooked on this right or wrong, black and white sort of mentality, which we'll cover more as the song goes on. But definitely that face-to-face line is definitely something you need to really be cognizant of the double meaning, and cognizant of how you're really going to explore that meaning and how you're going to try and convey that in the song.
He knows his way in the dark, mine is the way of the Lord. Those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flame, the sword.
Now that line too, if they fall as Lucifer fell, their flame, the sword. Of course, Lucifer here they're referring to the devil, who's no longer following the righteous path and has fallen into hell, and has fallen into the flames of hell, really. So that's what that line is uncovering there. So again, another line that's really enforcing just Javert's, you know, distaste for anyone who strays away from the straight line. Someone who decides they're not going to obey the law deserves to rot in hell, is basically what he's saying, and basically, you know, needs to be brought to justice. And that's really his entire motive for the entire show, and it's brought forward here in this song time and time again.
In your multitudes, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light, you are the sentinels, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night.
Now, I love this part of the song, and I love most performances of Javert. The character or the actor will choose to take off their hat right here. And I really wish the camera would have gotten us a shot of his face instead of towards the back. I get it, cinematically it looked great with all the lights coming down on him there in that shot. But to get his facial expression of when he does that, he's, Javert is such a strong, bold figure who's very sure of himself and very sure of his life's work. I love that moment there because when he's taking off his hat is just a sort of a gesture or bowing to the gods. God is the only one he answers to and is the only one he bows to. It's the one he answers to at the end of the day, and that's all he really worries about. So that moment of you've got such this strong, demonstrative figure who's just who terrifies everyone who crosses him. You see now how he pays respect to God and see how that God almost belittles him. He recognizes the great power that holds, and just gives himself over to it. And so that, again, I really wish we would have had a shot of his face there to show that all happening in his eyes, but it's still quite conveyed it in the song and in the way he delivers it, but still would have liked to see a shot of his face there.
You know your place in the sky. You hold your course and your aim, and each in your season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as a Lucifer fell, you fall in vain. And so it must be the soul.
Now, so it must be. He really throws that away right there on that B. So many times in this song, he really hits some strong words throughout the entire show. Really, he really hits some strong words, and every time you hear the word Javert, is really meant to be that. It really meant to stir up some terror in you when you hear his name, even, and he uses those words a lot right there to drive a little bit of a little bit of terror, a little bit of angst in you all of a sudden. So in case you've fallen asleep during this number, when he gets that word B, he's gonna wake you up and make sure that he really means what he's saying and he's really driving home that message. One thing I really love here is every time you get a long shot of him, he's just grasping onto that baton. Look at how tight that grip is on his baton. He's really bringing across that intensity, not only through his voice and through what he's saying, but just driving through his entire body as well. He believes in what he's singing about so much that the tension really just runs through his entire body, and that's really what you need in this performance, right? Is to convey with every inch of your body how much this really means to you.
It is written on the doorway to paradise that those who falter and those who fall must pay the price.
So much of this song, now it's quite difficult in this song. It's written in a 12/8 time, so once it starts going, it doesn't give you a lot of time to sway from the melody. So you really need to be able to, when you're acting and you want something to come as an organic thought, you really need to pace yourself well enough to be able to allow yourself to recognize what you're saying. So many people when they're performing a number will just sing it as is, but there are different words or different phrases that you need to hang on, that all of a sudden you need to allow the audience to show yourself thinking. So it's really quite difficult to do, but I find he does it quite well in different thoughts and different things he references. He takes a little split second in the music to allow himself to think of what the word, or think of what he's going to say, and then carry on with the phrase. It's very well done. It's very subtle, but he does it throughout this entire song and throughout this entire show, where he's really thinking about what he's saying and not just, I've memorized this song and I'm going to deliver it as is, right?
Lord, let me find him, that I may see him safe behind bars. I will never rest till death is
So good. Oh, no, we're going to go back on this. Don't worry. We're going to let him finish the whole phrase together because this is a terrible time to break it up. I get it. That line, safe behind bars, you need to sit with that and really delve into that and understand what safe behind bars. I mean, that's such a juxtaposition of who ever feels safe being in prison. But to him, that's where Valjean needs to be. That's where he's going to repent for his sins. That's where he's going to come to justice. So really, in Javert's eyes, that is his safe place to be. On top of that, Valjean is a criminal in his eyes, and being safe behind bars now is saving the rest of, you know, everyone else around him from further destruction, from further crime. You know, that's his safe place, is where he needs to be. And so there's so many different ways you can take that line, but it's really something you want to sit with, understand, go over it again and again, and really approach, at least in your mind. It doesn't need to come out too much in the performance, but at least in your mind, you need to have a clear thought of how you want that line to come across. It kind of really sums up his entire objective in this song. You know, safe behind bars. It sounds like such a line that wouldn't make sense, but when you delve into it and understand the subtext and the meaning behind it, it's a very powerful, strong line in this song. So let's just go back a little bit and let him finish this epic of an ending of a song. It's so good. It's so, that ending is just, it just gives you so many chills, the goosebumps of that ending. It's absolutely fantastic, and I love the way that's written to crescendo and really ended on a, it's a sermon, right? It's like it's a sermon that Javert is now stepping up and delivering and saying, look, this is the right way to live. This is the right path. I'm going to ensure it's followed through. And right at the end there, that big rousing ending is just absolutely fantastic. And Philip delivers that note just absolutely impeccably well. So two things I wanted to touch on here if you're going to perform this song in a masterclass. So number one, the role of Javert is really based in contrast. So it's very yes or no, black, white, light, dark. Everything is one or the other. There's nothing in between with him. And that not only runs true in this song, in this character, in musical theater, but in life in general. There's very few things that are right down the middle. It's either yes or no. And you need to believe in either of those sides and be able to prove your point on either of those sides. And so that's a lot of what he's juggling in this song, is what's right, what's wrong, light, dark. Everything is polar opposites, and everything is contrast. So understanding the contrast between the two and what each side represents is really going to help you find where the song should sit. And with each and every line, you can dissect, okay, is this one or the other? And the last point I wanted to make was in terms of judging your character. Now, I will go into this a lot more in depth in future videos, but what I mean by that is not allowing yourself to judge your character's decisions. So it's amazing, especially in this role where Javert is playing a police officer, where police are generally looked at as the good guys in life. Where in the show, Javert is really looked at as the villain and someone who's the bad guy. So coming into playing that role, you never want to judge the character. Your character has some extreme views on what's right and what's wrong, and it's important to play those simply to the audience and not judge it. What I mean by that is if you're in your head thinking, why the hell is this guy chasing someone for years for stealing a loaf of bread? Why is he doing that? Understanding why he cares about that is part of your job, but judging it and saying he shouldn't be doing that is not part of your job, because that's going to come through in your portrayal of the character, and it almost becomes then a mimic of your character and not actually playing true to his thoughts, his beliefs, and his values throughout the entire show. Okay, that's all the time we have for this video. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave me some comments of any future videos you'd like to see as well. Until next time, I'm Marc Daniel Patrick, and thanks so much for watching.